especially with dealing with kind of whatever he had in his finger at the beginning?
I think with Tony today, it was a grind from the outset. You know, the walks, behind the count. I don't think he had command of his split. And it was a grind today. And so, you know, with the first inning pitch count, we were fortunate enough to get him through 4. But still, you know, with what we went through this series with the starters, there's a lot of innings our pen had to cover. And that's unfortunate, and still had a chance to win the game today though.
There was a point where you were talking to Landon Knack and then he went to the bullpen. Was that just one of those instances in which if Tony was going to have to come out of the game early to be able to protect the bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that he's starting tomorrow, and just kind of where we're at the first inning, you know, depending on how far Tony went, there might have been a scenario where Landon was going to pitch for us and trying to pick up the pieces to figure out tomorrow. Fortunately, we did get to that point, so Landon will be ready to go for his start tomorrow, but that was the conversation.
Obviously, been hitting on it a lot over the last few weeks, but how sustainable is it to really keep relying on your bullpen as much as you guys can have?
Yeah, it's not sustainable. I think that I personally just look at each night and try to figure out who's available and how to try to win the game, cover the game, protect players, and that's kind of sort of the math, and you put these pieces together and try to weigh them in my decision making. But yeah, I mean, I think that our starters will you know, gain some traction, start going deeper, because we certainly needed a pen, yeah.
How frustrating or just kind of difficult is it to deal with when, like, it does seem pitching things, like even with the love finger, kind of keep popping up for you guys lately here?
Yeah, it's, you know, it's sort of, I don't think it is what it is, I guess, and you sort of kind of deal with it. But yeah, I mean, Tony came in today feeling good, and then there was a thing on his finger that kind of surfaced when he was getting loose, and that kind of impeded his command. And so hopefully, you know, when he starts on Saturday, that would be taken care of and give us a full start. But you just sort of have to deal with things as they come up.
What do you think the difference has been in execution for Bonda this year as opposed to maybe last year, obviously, especially the home runs?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I think that there's a lot of sinkers that, you know, are not sinking. They're not commanded. He's giving you some bad counts. There's times where he's not, you know, landing his slider. And so I think it's just a compilation of things that, you know, ultimately the sinker's got to have some movement, and there's real velocity there, but, you know, guys can hit velocity now. So I think with Anthony, it was, you know, great for him to give us 2 innings, which were much needed. But there was a 3-1 heater that just kind of was a misfire, and, you know, Darno put a good swing on it.
How does losing Kirby to the IL affect how you approach leverage situations when you want a right-hander?
That's going to be interesting. You know, Ben's kind of been a guy that pitches 2-3 innings, and so there's certain games that he's offline. We got Trevino here. You know, he's through 2 innings today. He was, you know, a guy that really handles right well throughout his career, but he's going to be down for a couple days, giving us 2 innings, and we're just going to have to piece it together. It's a good question.
Was Garcia with you when you checked on it?
Yeah, I really couldn't gather what was going on with Luis. He really didn't divulge. So, you know, obviously with what he's done 3 in a row, he'll be down for a couple days, and we'll just kind of figure it out. You know, pick up the pieces tomorrow and expect a good start out of Landon and figure out how we can match these guys up.
Dave, you lose guys like Barnes and Taylor in a short amount of time, well-liked guys. Can that cause an emotional kind of thing for the guys to kind of overcome maybe subconsciously?
You know, I don't know. I mean, obviously those 2 guys were very good Dodgers, very well-liked. But I think, to be honest, we just didn't pitch well this series. And I just don't know how much that, you know, is a result of, you know, moving on from 2 really good players.
Do you have any update on Michael Kopitzer yet?
He is through a pen, I think, today, and I think he's supposed to be pitching in a game on Tuesday. But he came out of it fine.
With those moves with Taylor and Barnes, like how much do they just kind of signify the urgency you guys are kind of approaching season right now, especially in a tight division race.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. You know, I think that, you know, we talked about Dalton, and I think that Dalton's earned the opportunity to get some runway, and he's you know, showing well right now and learning, which is great. And then, you know, also obviously, even with Haesong doing what he's doing, I think this is a good opportunity for him. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously we're in a tight race, and I think there's some of it is the race, some of it is you still want to kind of continue to develop young players and give them opportunities, you know, with the veteran ball club.
Is Teo still on track to be activated?
Yes.
When, Tommy and Kikuchi had that collision, was there a second where you kind of?
I held my breath. I did hold my breath, and I hope Yusei's okay. But yeah, I definitely held my breath, making sure Tommy came out of it okay. And the word that I got was he's fine. Thanks, guys.